Hi, I'm Jim Haviland. Let's talk through the Superior Execution Workshop and all the content that goes into that workshop. Just want to give you a brief overview of what's in it and when you probably need it. And really love this Peter Drucker quote that kind of sets us all up. Plans are only good intentions unless they immediately degenerate into hard work. This is all about the hard work part of our story. So we also talk about this in terms of compartmentalizing. There's a section of First OS for vision, the vision building section, and there's a strategic planning section. And this is really the execution part of what goes into First OS. It's really what the things we're going to do day by day, week by week, to let us all know that we're actually doing the right things and executing against our plans. Such an important part of any business, being able to execute the things you're trying to do. The strategy section helps figure out what we're going to do. This is the execution of those things. So the CTDs, that's the concepts, tools, and disciplines of superior execution, include great meetings. We really want to make sure that all of our time together with other teammates is expensive time. We have to be able to collaborate. We have to be able to get things accomplished. So we want to make sure we're very, very good at running our meetings, using that time in a most effective way. And one of the things we're going to do in those meetings is we're going to solve problems or identify opportunities, the topics of those meetings. We need to be able to say, hey, let's talk about it. Let's gather what we know and make a action plan for doing about it. That's really the solving problem section of it. And there's a very specific process we like to use to make sure that happens and make sure that those discussions don't go sideways. It's also about staying focused. So about making sure that we're figuring out the most urgent and important things to be working on. How do we determine that? One of the ways we keep track of that is measuring in KPIs. So critically important that everybody in their roles start to find the right numbers for figuring out what we're supposed to be doing and what we're not supposed to be doing, what's most urgent and important right now, and then also give us early warnings when things are going off track and we need to pull back from other activities and just really focus on the core of the business. And the last one is the documenting process. I'm going to move my little head here. The documenting process part of our world, and that's all about making sure that we've got a great way of making sure that everybody, there we go, we got a great way of making sure everybody knows what they should be doing and the right way to do it. There's accumulated wisdom and knowledge of how we do things inside the business. We say that everything should be done, that the important things should be done the best way every time. All right, so let's talk a little bit about when this workshop is really important. So first of all, if anytime you feel that your progress is starting to slow down, you're not meeting deadlines, this is a great workshop to kind of lean back into to figure out where all that's going and making sure we're doing the right things. Sometimes we feel like the chaos is overwhelming, right? We're being pulled in too many directions. Once again, that's a focus problem. And there's both a set of exercises that focus type stuff, but also things we should materially do with all of our teammates to make sure we've decided and we're agreed on where to go so that we don't get pulled in too many directions. There's also a number of milestones we should really watch for and realize and prepare for, that we're going to have changes in how we behave inside the organization. When it's just two people, it's pretty easy to keep things figured out. But when we get to 5, that's another layer of complexity. 15 is another one where people kind of feel the difference between, hey, it's a different organization now. We get to 15, 25, 50. These are all pretty well-known places where the level of overhead, the coordination overhead, we'd like to say, of the business raises. We have more coordination overhead needed to keep everybody focused and aligned, and being prepared for that in how we execute day by day is a great benefit. And we also should think about our stakeholders. So we talk a lot about, hey, what we're doing here and creating our vision and capturing our strategy is about serving the stakeholders, make sure everyone knows where we're going and how we're going to get there so they can support us. That includes people funding us, our customers, our potential employees, people that are employees now. But we have to realize that as we're growing, as we're accomplishing things, we're going to end up with new partners, new funding, maybe new customers. These are all places where we can really break things down, because we have to go back and rethink things to take advantage of this new context. And if we don't do that, then we're setting ourselves up for a challenging time. So these are all good times. Hey, listen, this workshop is good to take anytime you want to kind of reset and make sure we're going in the right direction, or if you just know where to start, this is a good one to start with. But these are all times when you should definitely think about coming back and making sure you're headed the right direction. So let's talk about meetings first. So we know that our meetings have to give everyone a sense of what is being done and what is most important. We have to really improve our efficiency and peace of mind. And it's really, by the way, this is one of those things that about operating systems in general, where people really start to feel the impact of the operating system, is in those weekly meetings when they start to get very, very good and very, very impactful. And you start really looking forward to them, because it really gives you a chance to really get clear on what everyone else is doing. And you have no idea how much burden it is to not be sure what everyone else is working on. So right hand knows what the left hand is doing. We're staying more perfectly connected as people, building trust inside the organization, critical part of accomplishing more. Avoiding those ad hoc meetings, like, hey, do you have a minute? Always turns into 15 or 20. So it's like it's a horrible thing to have happen, but it shouldn't happen very often, especially when you can move it to a time when, yes, I'm dedicated to being present, being at this movie, being at this moment, being here with all these people to go get these things done, as opposed to I was working on something and now you've interrupted me and I've lost my flow. And also, we want to really master this concept of important and urgent versus important. And there's a quadrant that we'll talk about of importance and urgency of things, knowing where things lie and how to respond to them in a way that everyone understands, so we can know when to ring the bell and get everyone's attention, or when to just focus and barrel through. So all this stuff handled in meetings. When we start to master these things, meetings feel really impactful. And so part of what we're going to do in meetings too is we're going to raise, discuss, and resolve topics, right? So whether we call them issues or topics or opportunities, we have to be able to talk about things. And quite often we begin by, let's get this out of the way, we're going to be able to raise an issue. So, hey, I want to, how we capture that stuff to make sure that everybody is, any thought we have can get on the agenda so we can consider it. And considering it is just a matter of me, hey, saying whatever I want to say. It's about, hey, I've got this issue. I'm describing it in a way that everyone can get on board and understands it, have clarity on what it means, because then we can discuss it. And we want to limit our discussions to things that are data or experiences, the things that make a difference in helping us get to that resolve part. So, and resolutions are kind of as a short list of things we might do. We're going to either make a decision, someone's going to take a task to go do and report back on something, or maybe we're going to say, hey, this is bigger than we thought. It's going to become a long-term issue for a future meeting, to handle it the quarterly, where we'll actually take a larger set of effort on it. But being able to do this on a regular basis to make sure that we're not arguing with each other, we're not talking past each other, but we're really focused on what the matter is at hand, and have a very well-structured way to make sure we get all of the information we need, all the best information we have at the moment, and try to make a best decision on how to proceed. We also like to talk about KPIs and scorecards. KPIs and scorecards is really about having a set of numbers, boiling down our expectations for each other and for ourselves into a set of numbers, key performance indicators, KPIs. And everyone should have some. You should have some that helps you know whether you're doing the right things, as you've agreed to do for the organization. I want to be able to depend on you to make a certain number of blueberry pies every week. You want to depend on me to make a certain amount of pie crusts every week. We have to have agreement on what we're going to do if we're going to coordinate, and I'll just not have to talk about every last little bit. So often we can turn those into numbers. And everyone in the organization should own some numbers. Every KPI has an owner, has a goal value, something that you're trying to achieve. And it isn't like a stretch goal. The idea is to kind of capture this is what steady state work looks like. What are we expecting this week? So it could be a number that kind of goes up over time, but hey, we're agreed that this week you're making 24 blueberry pies. And if that's what you're doing, then if you're not making 24 blueberry pies, you got to ring the bell and let everyone know, hey, it's going to be 23 blueberry pies, so we can all make adjustments based on that. It's also a useful management tool, and it's a great way to give feedback to people to see whether they're doing what they said they were going to do. And ultimately, we gather these together. Every team should have a collection of these numbers, 7 to 15 at the most, not a whole bunch of numbers, but just a handful of them that you really refine down to the ones that are the most important. What are the ones we have to look at to make sure we're on the right track moving forward, to see if we have time to do the extra stuff we're trying to do, to the building and fixing we're trying to do as an organization to advance our cause. If these numbers start to go off track, then it's an early warning system that we have to redirect and try to solve these problems together, and that keeps everyone aligned. The last thing we'll talk about here is and we'll get my little head out of the way here, is the process tool. So this is it's a very simple way of breaking down all the most important things we do inside of the business and doing it in a repeatable way. Every step is owned by somebody. It's that airline pilot, bullet point checklist that everyone can follow and review and revise as time goes on. So it's kind of a way of capturing the best information in the organization, not all of the data, not the 480-page standard operating procedure that no one ever reads, but just turning into something that everyone can follow along with and be owned by people, and they know when to report when things are going in the wrong direction. So that's basically it. All of the things you're going to need to execute day by day in the quarter. That's what we're going to talk about in the superior execution workshop. Let us know if you have questions.